I'm glad I invested in a good tripod. I'm using it right now. Haha, touche. Alright, let's get this video popping. This video that was recorded around 2 months ago is starting to get traction, and I just wanted to discuss this really quickly. The Daily Mail messaged me, and I didn't get the message until later on down the track after they had already posted the article, saying that they were going to make an article about the fact that we were in Safeway in Australia putting stickers on food products, and then we were kicked out of the store. And during this occasion, which was one action that we've done as an organization, and only one, of which we do many, the manager came up to us as we were leaving anyway and said he wanted us out. He went to kick us out. So we stood our ground. Now I understand that it's perfectly legal for him to kick us out for whatever reason, but laws do not necessarily imply something is just, morally or otherwise. So I stood my ground. We were on our way out anyway. So this guy proceeds in the video to say that since we're vegan activists, or he implies that since we're vegan activists, that we must exist on the lower end of the socio-economic scale. I'm sure if you're an activist, a vegan activist, you've heard someone tell you to go get a job. At the time of this video, I was working at a really dope job. I was earning a lot of money. I was making a killing. I was definitely earning a lot more than this manager. Now, I don't really care about that, but when someone is trying to belittle a vegan activist who's sticking up for animals with a classist comment, then I do care about slinging shit back in his face. It would not have gained this much traction if I didn't call that guy a fucking loser. It would have just been another video of vegans stickering in a store. That's just one thing to consider. The next thing to consider is, because it has gotten so many views, we have been bombarded with comments and messages from vegans who want to get off their couch and get out there and do some stickering and are asking us for stickers, which we're happy to provide anybody with. We can provide you with the layouts and you just go and get them printed for next to nothing. Anyway, I just want to address all this stuff because I find it really hilarious that all these people are getting so worked up over this. Again, this is only one of the many actions that we do. We've done 23 demonstrations to date. We operate every week in Melbourne. We do demonstrations on the street that convince around 25 people per demonstration to take the cruelty in their diets and lifestyles seriously as a result of our demonstrations. This action, us going into a store and stickering, that was only one of the actions that we've ever done. And it was in between a double event that we did. So we did 2 3-hour demonstrations in one day, and on that day in between we did some stickering. That is active as fuck, and people have a problem with us. Lose the egos. This is coming from a person who avidly does not support us, even though we have convinced over 500 people to go vegan in the streets of Melbourne. If you're about the animals, pretty sure the animals would want you to support a machine that does that much work. Pretty sure if it's not about our differences, which means nothing to the animals, that you would support us regardless. You can attend any of our activism events and you can see for yourself the most effective in Australia, arguably the world, for vegan outreach. I don't see anybody else doing vegan outreach that's as effective as us, and we've only just gotten started and we're not even warmed up yet. I don't say any of that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you that most people that are claiming that we have egos have the most atrocious egos that I've ever seen. It is such hypocrisy. We shouldn't be fighting vegans to save animals. That is the epitome of ego, that you want to come into other people's efforts and actions and try to break it apart. The animals don't give a fuck about the differences we have. What the animals need us to do is just do whatever form of activism we find effective. Let's keep our differences aside from what we're actually trying to achieve here. For the people out there who think that we should just brush off a classist comment, he's just being silly. Right? In that situation, he's just being silly. In other words, when you're a vegan activist, I love how there's so much expectation for you to be this picture-perfect, politically correct individual. And when you're a non-vegan, the same rules don't apply. Vegan activists, say and do what you need to say and do. The animals deserve to have a cause not only that's strictly for them, but animals deserve to be put on a motherfucking pedestal compared to our species as a whole. We're not the crown of creation. We're the crown of destruction. We need to be acting that way and have some humility and put ourselves where we really belong in this scale. Just because we're impressive and we can build spaceships and play the violin, that doesn't make us more important and more special. As a whole, as a species, we are feces. The biggest injustice that has ever occurred in human history 150 plus billion, conservative figure, victims per year. There is no other atrocity that has ever even come close to this. There is a war going on against animals, and we are trying our best.